Shalom, it's Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet Good Torah. So I want to talk a little bit about Parsha Breshis that we just read on this past Shabbos. It's the first Parsha in the book of Genesis. It's actually the Parsha of Genesis. A little bit about Hashem's creation of the world and how that affects the current situation we see right now happening in this war between Israel and Hamas. So what's interesting is, in the Maisa Bereshis, in the creation, we see first on day one that Hashem created darkness. He created Choshek. And it says that Choshek is, above the Tehom. It's above the face of the abyss, the deep. And then Hashem says, it says, Vayomer Elokim Vayihi Or. And then we see that Hashem creates light. So we see this pattern, and we're going to see this pattern go all throughout history, that first there's a darkness and then there's a light. So one thing that darkness represents, it's nighttime, but it also represents the state that's called gullus, or exile. And then the light, which is also the daytime, it represents a state of the world called geula, redemption. And each day, we see the pattern of each day is Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Boker. First, the day begins, according to the Torah, begins with sunset, evening into the night. And then the second part is the daytime, is the sunrise in the daytime. And that's what makes up a day. So we've seen this all throughout Jewish history. We've seen, like for instance, in Egypt, at first it was night. We went through the terrible slavery in Mitzrayim in Egypt, and we were inflicted with the plagues. We were inflicted with the oppression of the Egyptians and the harshness of the slavery. And then we cry out to Hashem, and then Hashem brings the plagues on the Egyptians, and then we're released, we're redeemed. The geula begins, and Hashem brings us out of that suffering. We see it also in the Persian Empire, in the days of Mordechai and Esther. It's the Haman, who was descended from Amalek. He wants to destroy us. He wants to kill us, and he wants to kill all the Jewish people. So at first it comes the darkness, and then we see the redemption through Mordechai and Esther. The Jewish people are saved, and then Haman and his evil followers are defeated. So we see this pattern again and again. So in modern times, unfortunately, we experience like one of the darker moments of all of history. The absolute horrors of the Holocaust, and many Rebbeim have expressed like the Nazis are a modern day version of Amalek, the ancient tribe of Amalek, the grandson of Esav, who were the most like virulent like anti-Semites for all of history. And just as Haman was in the ancient world, we saw the Nazis in the modern world. And through this great darkness, first of the Holocaust, and then after we saw a great light. We saw millions of Jewish people after the horrors of the Holocaust return to Eretz Yisrael, return back to Israel. And then we saw a miraculous victory of like the fledgling Israeli army against many Arab nations coming to attack them and destroy them, and then they're victorious. So the past Shabbos, it was Shabbos here, and I think it was also Yom Tov in Israel. It was Shmini Atzeres, and I think it was Simchas Torah on their Shabbos, and just these horrors that were inflicted on the Jewish people. And it's strange how the world can watch these modern day Nazi atrocities, where you just see like just slaughter of like innocent people, the destruction of families, the cruel, like the violation of women, and then to viciously like kidnap them and bring young children and women and old people back as hostages into Gaza as like a ploy, that there should be no retribution and there should be no destruction of their evil actions. So I think what has been so strange has been watching the reactions various like politicians and journalists and world leaders and celebrities, and I find it strange because the mask has been ripped off. I mean, I don't even begin to understand how people could watch such horrific actions and stand with that, because there's only two sides. I'm sorry, I mean, there's a conflict here, but there is only two sides. There's the Sitra Kedusha, there's the side of holiness, there's the Torah. The Torah itself, the Torah is called the Eitz Chaim. The Torah is called the tree of life. And every goal of the Torah is life. The main goal of the Torah is that through a life of learning Torah and doing the mitzvahs, we can earn a place in Olam Haba. We can earn a place in the world to come. This world right now that we're living in is called Olam Hazeh. And the goal is to transform this world, to bring holiness, to bring Kedusha into this world, to bring kindness, to bring chesed, other people, to save life. There's a mitzvah like do not stand over, the blood of your brother. If you see someone in danger, try to save them. I mean, everything in the Torah is like, you can even violate Shabbos for Pekuach Nefesh, to save life. You can even violate the great Kedusha, the great holiness of Shabbos. Everything about the Torah is promoting life, like don't kill, like tinaf, like, don't kill. And by them, a lot of people don't understand, in the Ten Commandments, the mitzvah of not stealing, the one mentioned in the Ten Commandments, actually refers to don't steal a human life, don't kidnap. There's another mitzvah mentioned later in the Torah, which is just the normal kind of stealing property. But the actual mitzvah in the Ten Commandments is actually the mitzvah of not stealing human life. So on one side, to have the Jewish people, and the Torah, which stands only for life, which is the tree of life itself. And then on the other side is the Eitz Das Tovara, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So what does that mean? So Rabbi Eliyahu Dessler, in his Sefer Miksav Eliyahu, he also has an English translation of most of it. It's called Strive for Truth. He said something very fascinating. What was the state of Adam and Chava? What was the state of Adam and Eve before they ate from the tree of knowledge? And he says something really fascinating. He says it was a state where there was only truth, emes, or lies, sheker. So he could see everything that Hashem wanted was truth, and anything against what Hashem wanted was lies. But once they ate the fruit of this tree, once they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then their perspective completely changed, and they became immersed in a world of good and evil. And this is the world of Bechira, of free will. But now things can get confusing. Now there's good and evil in the world, and people don't always see it clearly. People can see the good as evil, and they can see the evil as good. And it has surprised me, certain politicians on both sides who is strongly standing up and supporting the Jewish people, and who stands with a terrorist group, with murder, with death, with the Sitra Achra, the other side, the side of spiritual impurity, this side. I mean, it's clear, it's clear that this side, Hamas, which means in Lashon HaKodesh, which means violence, which means stealing by force. We're going to even see in the upcoming Shabbos that we're approaching, Parsha Noach, that Hamas was the final straw before Hashem sent the flood. It was the final straw that people would steal the Midrash says people would steal like little bits from another person. If a person came out with a whole basket, of food, that each one would steal a little bit, less than they could be punished for, but it's just this cruelty. And we see it's rampant now. We see just people breaking into stores and just stealing, and there's just not this yiras Hashem anymore. There's not this fear of God in the world, fear of doing wrong. But it's so clear, after watching one side who only believes in death and destruction, and the other side who even is warning their enemies, warning that please get out so we can rescue our Jewish hostages, and we can destroy this evil who only wants to kill. I mean, I lived in Israel for 6 years. I lived in Israel during the disengagement. Israel pulled out every family in Gaza. All these Jewish families were pulled out. A lot of them, I don't even know if they were fully repaid for the homes they lost. And there was beautiful homes there. And that's a rare thing in Israel. It's not like America where there's a lot of homes that people own. Most people live in apartment buildings there. It's a rare thing to have a home and a lawn. And they ripped the Jewish families out of there in the hopes of peace. And then what do they do? What do the citizens of Gaza do? They were left all these greenhouses. They could have had this whole business, this whole agricultural business, and they just sold it all off. They destroyed all the synagogues. They plowed down all the synagogues, and they could have lived in peace. Gaza is beautiful. It's right on the Mediterranean coast. There's luxury stores there. They had this whole land. They said they want the land. They have this whole land to themselves. And by the way, they voted for Hamas. And they have a school system that teaches hate. So I am sorry, but this is not a society that is about life and about good. This is about destruction and death. And the world has a choice. I mean, which side do you want to stand on? But it is the ultimate in anti-Semitism now. Through this long gullus, 2023 years of this Roman gullus, this Roman exile, we've wandered the world and been told in many nations, you don't belong here, you're unwelcome here, pogroms, massacres, Holocaust, inquisitions. But now the ultimate, they say you're a colonizer in Israel, that a Jewish person has no business living in the land of Israel, is the ultimate in anti-Semitism. So I hope those in the world that love life, that love truth, that love good, that really yearn for a true shalom in the world, a true peace in the world, stand for the good. Stand up for the good. Stand against evil. Oh, may we see now after the darkness a great light. May we see Hashem give merit to the Jewish soldiers to save every single nefesh, every single neshama, every single soul of each Jewish person that was kidnapped, and bring them home from Gaza. And may we see a destruction of this evil, the killing. And may we see a clarity in the world to see things clearly, to see life, and choose life, as the Torah says, b'chai b'chem, live by them, live by the mitzvahs of the Torah, choose life and reject death. And the goal of the Torah is that one day, Hashem, B'ezrat Hashem will be soon, will send Mashiach, it will teach the world the Torah, and teach the world to come closer to Hashem, and then eventually the sin of Adam and Chava can be rectified, and death will no longer be a place in the world. There will be no more death, and hopefully we're heading quickly to those days. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back again soon on Swing Good Torah.